That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
not easy. So to believe that things are easy is naive, and that's not what we need to do. We need to embrace challenge. All growth happens in challenge, and we need to embrace it. And I've been using the cliche, the be like the buffalo and go towards the storm.
Through the storm. Yep. That's
Yeah,
a good one.
that I think that's really right now what you gotta do, charge the storm because so many people are fearful and paralyzed and deer in headlights, and they don't know what to do, and while those people are pausing, if you're charging, you'll get there.
That's exactly right. Nothing worth anything in life is ever going to be easy, and you got to choose your hard. Not having much in your pipeline's hard. Going out and doing the things it takes to put loans in your pipeline are hard. So choose your hard. It's gonna be hard either way.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that are joining us, thank you so much for taking and making the time. Phil is a close friend of ours and a close friend of Momentum Builders and Sales Ministries. So we're excited to have you here with us today. And Phil, you're one of the premier mindset coaches that I know. And, much more than that, of course. But right now, in this challenging environment, we're hyper focused on our mind because it's this thing that controls this thing.
That's right.
And, and this thing controls what ends up in our wallet. So ultimately, we've got to use it all in unison to make sure that we're showing up our absolute best every single time for every single appointment with every interaction. And I'm excited to see how you can bring us up to speed so that we can do that.
Man, I appreciate that. It can be some good stuff. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
You just jump right in here,
Yeah, jump right in, man. I have no agenda. I'll interrupt you here and there. You know the
please.
game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate you taking the time. As Gino said, listen, it is hard right now. It's supposed to be hard. If companies could make the phone ring on their own with pre-approved buyers or people that are ready to buy and sell homes, they wouldn't need us. That's why we get paid what we paid. So we're going to embrace that hard. And the topic that this is actually, I don't even have any slides for you because this is a new talk that we've put together. It's got elements of some things you might have heard before, but we're going to package it with definitely some things you probably haven't heard before. And we're going to talk about how to get out of your own way, the real reasons that you're stuck, that you're plateauing, and what you need to do to fix it. And just real quick, for those that aren't as familiar with me, as Gino said, I am a coach. I have a company called M1 Academy, and M1 stands for Mindset First. Guys, mindset's not the only thing that's going to make you successful, but it is the most important thing because at the end of the day, mindset is what controls our attitude and our actions. And those are the only two things that we can control. So I have a coaching company, I have a podcast. I've been in the mortgage industry. Hey, Don, how you doing, buddy?
I thought we gave you the day off today.
I just wanted to say hi. It's Phil. He's our bro, man. There's no way I'm going to completely miss him. I got off the last call you were just on too. So there's no way I didn't want to at least say hi. And thank you, Phil, for being on, man. I look forward to your text on a regular basis that you share. And you're one of our bros and our peeps and add so much value. So there's no way I didn't want to at least say hi.
Well, I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Well,
Very
we're gonna have a good talk today, and you guys feel free to chime in and add some stuff to it, or correct me if I'm wrong or anything. Let's have a good conversation. But like I said, just again, for those that aren't familiar with me, I'm a coach, podcaster, speaker. I've been doing the sales side of the mortgage business for about 22 years at all levels of sales and sales leadership. So I'm in the hunt. I'm in the grind. I do this stuff along with you guys as well. This last couple of years, I've been focused on fully being a coach and helping other people build their business. But just to kind of jump right in here on reasons that we get stuck, on reasons that we plateau, it all comes into not necessarily getting as much business as we want. We know that. And like Gino and I were talking about a second ago, you've got to choose your hard. Trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone, differentiating yourself is hard, but not having any business is hard too. And that's the first thing that I want to talk about, the reason we get stuck. It's that lack of differentiation. Guys, everybody knows a loan officer. Everybody knows a realtor. So you've got to make yourself memorable because when you become memorable, you become referable. And there's a couple of ways that we're going to talk about to break down how do you differentiate yourself? How do you stay top of mind with people? How do you actually make sure people remember you so that they can refer you or use you if and when they're ready to get a mortgage or to buy a home, an investment property, second home, whatever? And the first way is a grandma statement. And a lot of you may not have heard what a grandma statement is, but a grandma statement is this. It's the mission statement about what you do that's so simple, even your grandma understands it. Now, no disrespect to grannies out there. It's just a matter of how do you articulate your value How do you articulate the problems that you solve to someone when you first meet them? Because Gino or Don, whoever, if they want to put it in the chat, when you meet someone brand new for the first time and they find out that you're in the mortgage business or loan officer, what's the very first question they ask you almost every single time? What are rates doing right now? What's the market look like? Exactly. What's your rate? Right? Everyone knows that that's what it is. And so the reason that happens is we've done a really bad job of giving them anything else to talk about. We've marginalized ourselves as an industry to mortgage equals rate, it equals payment. So at the end of the day, what we have to do is from the very beginning when we meet someone, we've got to articulate a different kind of value offer. So that grandma statement is this thing. It can be something like, I'm a mortgage advisor that helps people create financial security through home ownership. I'm a loan officer that helps people create wealth through building real estate. In 2022, I went from sales leadership as a national director back into production for about a year. We went from 0 to top 1% in the country in about 6 months on a run rate level. Closed a bunch of business proving these concepts for people. In 2022, when I hadn't originated in a decade, rates were going up 0.5% a month at the time, and I hadn't even originated in the market that I was living in. And so one of the things when people would say, hey, what do you do when I'd meet someone for the first time? I said, I have a mortgage practice that helps people build real estate wealth. We'd created Your Brew team. It was an acronym, Build Real Estate Wealth. And they would say, interesting, how do you do that? And I was able to go into the next kind of script where we're able to articulate the value and we changed the conversation from rate. Now, part of this is about niching down and finding a market that you serve, that you solve a problem with really well. And a lot of you have already closed your ears. A lot of you are like, oh, I don't want to niche down because I'm going to eliminate all these other people that I can do business with. And guys, the opposite is actually true. When you niche down, when you focus on a group of people, whether it's veterans, first-time homebuyers, whether it's investment properties, whatever it is that you're targeting on, maybe you only do loans for gated communities that have a lot of amenities. So what happens is when you do that, you again become memorable. And think about the medical field. Who makes more, a general practice doctor or a specialist? And you're going to make more money as a specialist. With Your Brew team, what I did is, and Eric asked, what's that statement again on building real estate wealth? I was Brew. I said I have a mortgage practice that helps people build real estate wealth. And we talked a lot in our content about short-term rentals and long-term rentals and fix and flips and investment properties. And that was what we talked about. But the irony is 80% of the loans that we did that year were primary residence purchases for people because they wanted to talk about, hey, I've got an aspiration for wanting to invest in real estate. Where do I get started? Or can you refer me? And just like the medical analogy, if you know a specialist, let's say that they're an orthopedic surgeon and you need someone for ear, nose, and throat, you're going to call your friend as a specialist and have them refer you to another specialist. So those people may call you and say, hey, I know that you work with first-time home buyers, but we're looking to get a mortgage. Who can you recommend? And guess what? You're like, I can also help you. No problem at all. So it starts with this grandma statement and changing the conversation, differentiating yourself, niching down. And a part of that is understanding why you do what you do. And I know this can get a little convoluted. What's your why? Or Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Simon Sinek's a great guy. He's got incredible books. But I think we take this why thing a little too far. Your why is simply something that happened to you in your past or didn't happen to you in your past that frames up why you like to do this. It's just not just about helping people. And Gino just said, I like purpose over why. That's exactly right. What's your purpose? What is it, the problem that you most uniquely solve? For me, my dad was a builder. I saw him building investment properties for people and second homes and duplexes. And I kind of grew up thinking, hey, I want to invest in real estate. I want to be like those people. So from an origination perspective, that's what I liked to talk to people about is building wealth with real estate, building real estate wealth, those types of things. So I'll tell you a quick story. I had a loan officer that worked for me years ago before I started coaching, and we were trying to unpack this exact thing. She was struggling and felt like all the people she talked to, her referral partners already had a lender and the people that she knew already knew other loan officers. And I said, hey, what is it why do you do what you do? And Gino said, what's your purpose in this? And we had to kind of go through that conversation, unpack it a little bit, just like you would as when Todd Duncan teaches a high trust conversation. Hey, what's significant about this? What's important about that? And what we did is we realized she was the single mom or was one of three kids to a single mom. And she moved around a lot, didn't have any friends, didn't have a lot of happy memories until her mom got a job that afforded her to be able to buy a home. And that's where all her happy memories started, because she was able to invite friends over. She was able to do extracurricular activities. So she grew up really thinking that happiness and financial security were linked. So when she got out of high school, she got a job at a bank and worked her way up to a loan officer. And so what we reframed her grandma's statement is I'm a mortgage advisor that creates financial security through home ownership. And then she's able to tell that story. Hey, I was one of three kids to a single mom, and all of my happy memories started when she was able to buy a home for these reasons. That goes to a deeper relationship with people. That shows them you're not just qualified to help them solve that problem, that you actually care about these problems that you're solving for people. Because make no mistake, people pay for solutions to their problems. They pay with their time, they pay with their money, they pay with their engagement on social media. So, what we have to do is make sure we let them know we can solve their problem and we're qualified and passionate about solving their problem. And that's what goes into this grandma statement. And when you niche down, is it doesn't have to be this super specific niche. It can be a type of people that are in similar places to you. And again, I can't say it enough. That makes you more memorable, which makes you more referable. But it also, in this differentiating piece, ties into your personal brand. And I hesitate even calling it a personal brand anymore because it's gotten thrown around and we've kind of gotten convoluted to what it is because people hear brand, not person. Because a personal brand is about the person, not the brand. It's not about a shtick. It's not about a logo. It's not about this cool phrase. This phrase that we have, our grandma statement, ties to us. And your personal brand, we've got to remember that this business has been done, is being done, and will always be done based on relationships. Guess what? You can't have a relationship with a company. You can't have a relationship with a logo or a brand. You can have a relationship with a person. Now, there's all kinds of charts and info out there, and I won't share the slide obviously because I don't have the slide queued up and ready. But I have this slide that shows where people found their lender, and I think I got it from Stratmore, and it shows that almost 2/3 of people, 64% of people, found their lender through a referral from either a friend or family member or a realtor. 2/3 of people found their lender from a referral. There was like 10% online, 3% social media. But what we have to remember and realize is that when someone refers you, they're going to go look you up online. They're going to go look you up on social media. It's called social proof. We've heard about it before. But you have to have a brand. And the reason I don't like saying personal brand, we'll shift it to digitizing your reputation, taking who you are and putting that online. People don't care what you do, they care who you are. And then when they're ready to engage with what you do as a service provider, they're going to narrow it down and decide if they want to work with you based upon who you are. So if you're constantly putting out business content only, you may set yourself up as a subject matter expert, but people aren't sure if they want to do business with you. Maybe they're too busy to answer my silly little questions because that's what people are thinking. Maybe I'm going to be a more difficult case. Maybe they work with a different kind of clientele. But if they're like, oh, that person has the same type of dog as me. Oh, I like Gino. I like those cool little diners and restaurants and cool food that Gino shows. I like that, right? I had some friends that were husband and wife. They were both realtors and they were buying a second home in another market. And for some reason or other, they couldn't get a referral in that market that really worked for them. So they said, hey, we can look people up online and we can narrow it down. They came down to three people that they were going to really look at to help them buy this home. And the one they chose, it was because they had the same type of dog they did. And these are people that are in the business. So if you don't think that consumers are doing the exact same type of thing, you're wrong. So we've got to remember people want to do business with people. That's how you differentiate yourself. Your unique value offer isn't something you can do that nobody else can do. It's how you do what you do in a unique way.
Yeah.
What's your purpose? What's your why?
I'll tell you a couple of things there. Let me stop you there for a second because that was a lot of stuff, but it's actually so simple, right? But sometimes simple isn't easy. But I can tell you for 100%, 1,000% for sure, if I post a picture about sales mastery or something cool that we're doing for Momentum Builder or the fact that you and I are going to be on today, I get 6 likes, maybe 1 comment. Most of them are our friends. It's all good, totally cool. If I post some badass barbecue that I put down, I get DMs, I get messages, I get comments. That's what people care about. And so when you say personal brand, what I ask myself is What type of person does someone think you are based on your online reputation? Right. And so if someone was to go look up my online reputation, they could see that I'm a professional in the sales space. They could see that I really enjoy food. They could see that I have some real estate investments. Like they can get an idea of who I am pretty quickly. I try not to tell people I'm a Raider fan because that doesn't always go over really well. I don't post too much about that.
You put that in the category with religion and politics. We're just
Yeah,
not
yeah,
going to touch
religion,
it.
politics, and Raiders. Yeah.
That's right.
But that's what I'm saying is like show people who you are.
That's right.
And also like somebody the other day was saying like if somebody described you in one word at your deathbed, what would it be? And they said, what word would you want it to be? And someone said reliable. I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Trustworthy, right? A friend. Like start thinking about those words and those personas, and do you really like live that life? One of the things that I get angry at is everybody says it's a relationship business and everybody says that we're a relationship, we're a relationship, we're a relationship. Bullshit. You're a relationship till they close, then you never call them again.
Right.
That
And
is
there's
not
stats around it. Only 15% of people use the lender or realtor. It's the same for both industries. Only 15% of people on a subsequent transaction used the lender or realtor they used prior, but over 80%, according to NAR, over 80% of people said they would use them again, but those people aren't following up, meaning we aren't following up.
Yeah, so I call that best friends until you close.
Love
Okay.
it.
So that's not okay. So if you want to fix your business and you want to have residual income, I have a really easy formula. Call 30 days after closing and ask them how it's going. Do you need any help with anything? Simple, simple, right? But nobody does it, or very few do. And those that do are in the top 10%, if not the top 5% of all performers. Call them at their 6 month and at their 1 year, and call them on their birthday, right?
Right.
God forbid you make 4 calls a year to somebody in your database that already knows you, likes you, trusts you, and supposedly would be your referral partner, right? Would you call a real estate agent 4 times a year to get their business? Then why wouldn't you call your past clients?
That's right.
And so I think life is simple, but execution is more difficult, and you just need to have accountability. And guess what? If you call at that 30-day mark and you call at that 6 month mark, then you don't have to deal with the embarrassment that you deal with right now that you haven't called in 3 years.
You got to send the I goofed letter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if anybody hasn't heard that, if you haven't engaged with your database, email me, DM me, or reach out. A lot of people have a version of it. It's just essentially a goof letter, and it literally says, "Hey, I committed to continue staying in touch with you. I completely messed up, but as part of my renewed commitment to being that advisor and that partner for you, I wanted to reach out and apologize. I can't believe it's been a year, 2 years, however long since we've talked, and I had some questions for you." So, if you own that, you can still re-engage in that relationship. So it's not too late. Don't say, well, I haven't, and there's nothing I can do about it. As Gino said, you can start re-engaging with people, whether you send an iGoof letter or not. You can still re-engage with people and reach out and rekindle that relationship.
Yeah, and if you want to be a little more sneaky about it, Phil, you could just go back to their Facebook page and their Instagram and see what's going on with their life
Yep.
and actually give a shit. And if you
Right.
actually care and be like, hey, I saw your daughter just went to college. Mine did too. How are you
Right.
feeling? Right. If you start to care about people in a way like you would care about your friends, the business will come.
Love it. Love it. The last part of this that I've got kind of in my outline here of this differentiating yourself to get yourself unstuck, making you memorable and referable. The other thing is this digitizing reputation is about creating trust, right? We've heard the cliche, the know, like, and trust. But here's 2 easy ways that I found that you can create trust with someone. And the first one's very simple. You find things in common with them, right? Like as
That's been
many
my
people,
go-to move my whole
it
life.
is. As many people that are going to not pay attention to Gino because he's a Raiders fan. On the other side, people who are Raiders fans will be fiercely loyal, right? There's a really good book by Seth Godin called Tribes. We're all part of all kinds of tribes. Everyone here's, for the most part of Tribe Mortgage. Some of us are part of Tribe Glasses. Some of us are part of tribes like me, dads of daughters who play basketball. And so what happens is whenever in this personal brand and this digitizing reputation, if you'll showcase who you are and let people find things in common, or to Gino's point, go out and find things in common and talk to them about it, there's automatically an element of trust built in. And I'll tell you a quick story that'll really illustrate this. When I graduated high school, my graduation present from my parents was a trip to Europe. It was one of those educational tours. It didn't have a huge ticket price. It's like 30 people. 17 days over 6 different countries. And I was a smart kid, but I looked at the summer and I was like, July 4th, we're going to be in Venice, Italy. Oh my gosh, fireworks over Venice. This is going to be great. Well, for those that didn't get that joke, obviously Italy doesn't celebrate American Independence Day, but I remember this because on 4th of July in Venice, we ran into another group of Americans. Like, hey, high five, we're from the US, happy 4th of July. And our group stayed together the entire day. Pickpockets are crazy in those touristy spots of Europe. So when they would go to the bathroom or go to shops, we would watch their stuff. And when we would go to the bathroom and shops, they would watch our stuff. And I thought about that years later. They were perfect strangers. I'm not at a football game and be like, hey, bud, will you hold my wallet? I got to run to the bathroom. No, but because in that environment, they had something in common with us that automatically created an element of trust. So, see, if you're trying to attract the people that are like you and have things in common, there's that element of trust there, and your message is going to land a lot different. So, you've got to have conversations with people. You got to showcase things in common. And the second way to create trust, real quickly, is give them value without asking anything in return. Don't constantly in every single message that you put out on social media, every single video, every single comment, you don't have to every single time have them call you for if they're ready to buy or refinance a home or buy or sell a home. Calls to action are important, but they need to be strategic, because a call to action in a video where you give them a great piece of information then ask them to call you, it's like using the word but. It negates everything that comes before that. Hey, Gino, I love being on here, but see, everything I said before it now gets negated. So if you have a call to action every single time, people are thinking, well, they're only putting that out there because they want me to call them, not because they're trying to add value. And when you add value, give them information, give them something entertaining, showcase who you are, because we're naturally voyeurs as people, right? Facebook stalking is a term for a reason, right? We naturally want to know about people. So when you do that, that is inherently value, and people will reciprocate that, and that element of trust is created. So that's kind of the first bullet point here. Gino, any thoughts on that before we move to the next one?
I do. I want to talk about trust because one thing I think people don't take into consideration enough is things that erode trust. We constantly we talk a lot about building trust, and we just did, right? We just talked about building trust. These are the having common bonds is a way to build trust. You know, giving value first is a way to build trust. But what about what's going out the bottom? Where are your leaks? Right. And so I went to Todd Duncan's High Trust Sales Academy last year before we were partners, and he says if you don't like your conversion, that conversion score tells you how much people trust you or not. So your conversion score is your trust score. And that kind of hurts, right? If you start to think that you're losing 6 out of 10 deals or 8 out of 10 deals or 4 out of 10 deals, whatever that number is for you,
Right.
those are the people that didn't trust you enough. That's the truth. And so you start thinking about what erodes trust. And long, long ago, probably back in 2007, 2008, another coach of mine came and said, loan officers don't have any integrity. It's pretty shocking, right? You say, hey, I'm an honest loan officer. I do this. I didn't say you're not honest. You don't have any integrity. You don't do what you said you're going to do. You told me you'd call at 4 o'clock. You didn't. You told me you'd get back to me tomorrow, my pre-approval. You didn't. You said your team was going to call me. They didn't. Right. And those are things that erode trust. So one thing to focus on is we may be great at gaining trust, but it's no good if we're leaking it out the bottom. So make sure you seal any of those leaks before you go put more stuff in the top of the funnel.
That's exactly right. The only thing that I would say from that's reframing the exact same thing that you're saying is the quickest way to erode trust is unmet expectations. So you've got to make sure in any relationship you have, personal relationships, professional relationships, set clear expectations and follow through with those expectations. And if you think about relationships that you have conflict in, more often than not, it's because either you or they aren't living up to the expectations that are implied or otherwise. And so, set the standard and meet that standard for what it is you're going to do for a client, for a referral partner, and that maintains that trust that you've worked so hard to build. So I love that.
The easy way to do that is to have systems, right? Because
Systems and processes. That's exactly right.
processes that creates reps, right? It's just like a jump rope, just like a jump rope. Just jump it, jump it, jump it. You know why you're able to jump a rope? Because your mind is doing all the math, saying last time it took 1.36244 seconds for that rope to come around, and it expects the rope to come around in that same exact amount of time. And that's why you're able to do it unconsciously. And so when you have systems and processes, then those things happen unconsciously and you're consistent. And when you're consistent and reliable, now you're providing Amazon-like experience, which is what people look for in life.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. This next thing in terms of, why you're stuck, how to get out of your own way. Um, and we may not get to all of them, but I think this is a very important one, and it's sheer lack of action. And we're hesitant and lack of action because we have a fear of failure. And failure is one of the topics I love to talk about because we've got that misframed in our mind. But Don had referenced in the M1 Academy, we have a free text community, and I don't mind putting the number in the chat here if you'd like to join it. We send out a few texts every single week that you can just put, hey, you can put, momentum builder, whatever, just it'll respond and you can join the text community. But we recently sent one out this week that talked about judgment. And so we have to remove judgment from our mind because we're talking about self-awareness here. If you stop judging other people and stop judging yourself, all of a sudden you can create this self-awareness. See, we judge other people because of comparison, because we're insecure, because we're judging ourselves. Self-awareness isn't about judging yourself. It's about understanding and gathering information so that you can take action and level up. It's not about being punitive. It's not about being critical. So when you think about your day, if you're time tracking or time blocking, how many of those activities are actually revenue generating activities that only you can do? Those green light activities, not stuff someone else can do, not stuff that's not creating any income, but we first have to be self-aware. Guys, this business is about taking action and the right action, but we hesitate to do anything unless we think it's perfect, right? John Maxwell. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. He's, kind of the godfather of personal development and leadership. And he talks about how the opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is excuses. Because, see, you can succeed from failure, but you can't succeed from excuses. So we've got to understand that's one of the three failure diseases: excuse-itis, detail-itis, and procrastination. And we all suffer from one or all of these failure diseases. And the way we get around them is starting with that self-awareness and not breaking the 11th commandment of thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest about what you're doing and what you're not doing. But the other part of this is we avoid new strategies or we avoid doing different things because we're not sure if we're going to be any good, right? We don't post video because I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. Guess what? That's how you look. That's how you sound. And we like you anyway. So go post and just get over it, right? We don't do things because we're trying to avoid judgment or avoid failure. And we stay in our comfort zone and we don't get out of those things that are working. But what you have to understand is if you want to get better at something, it comes through the reps, right? Barry Habib is obviously a friend of Momentum Builder and Sales Mastery. And, he was one of my very first podcast guests, or my actual very first podcast guest. And in that episode, he said that a professional boxer, like a boxer that goes and fights, a professional boxer trains 5,000 minutes for every 1 minute that they spend in the ring. Think about those reps. So before you have a conversation with a client or referral partner, are you practicing what you're going to say? Are you thinking through it? Are you doing some research on them so you can show that intentional effort to find the things in common and to potentially add value? Are you putting those reps in? Because guys, if you want to get better at something, it's solved through action. If you want to create efficiency, it's solved through action. All things are done through action, but we're afraid that we're going to fail because academia taught us that success is over here and failure is over here, and we need to decide which way we want to go because we couldn't fail every test, fail every quiz. Even if we learned what we got wrong in academia, we're a failure. But see, in the real world, success and failure are stacked. We go through that failure to get to success because we have an opportunity to learn something. We hear it in podcasts. We hear it from people on stage. We read it in books. People failed over and over and over, but they took action, so they learned something. So the takeaway is there's never a situation where doing nothing is better than doing something, even if you fail. Because if you do something, you either get a result, get a win, or you take a loss. But that loss is actually the L for loss is L for learn. You get to do something different. You get to do something better. I could sit here, if someone didn't know how to swim, I could give you every video, every book, every piece of content out there about how to swim, what it's like, what the water's going to feel like. But bottom line, you're never going to learn how to swim until you jump in the damn water and figure it out. And that's what we're talking about here. We could use professional baseball as a metaphor. You could have a 300 batting average, which means 3 out of 10 times they're getting a hit and get on base or get a home run. The other 7 out of 10 times they strike out, they fly out, they ground out, they go back to the dugout having failed. Well, 300 batting average puts you in the major leagues, probably an all-star making millions of dollars, and they fail 70% of the time every single day. To see, we go out and we're like, well, I don't want to do this unless I know for sure it's going to work, or I don't want to try something new because what if people laugh at me? Guess what? They're not paying your bills. They're not helping you build your business. Why do you care what they think? And frankly, the loudest critics are the ones that aren't doing anything. You're now shining a spotlight on what they're not doing by going out and doing more. So I challenge people right now, if your business isn't where you want to be, you need to find a group of people that you can solve problems for. Go take massive action in educating them, creating relationships with them, solving problems for them, and your business is going to get better. If it's the Zig Ziglar approach of if you help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want. In our industry, people want to buy a home, they want to invest in real estate, they want to improve their financial lives. So take yourself out of the equation for a second and go take action. Go take more action. But Phil, I have been taking action. I'm burned out. Can't tell you the number of people that have told me they're burned out. And I'm not being insensitive on this, but the response I have to every single one-on-one client or person that comes up to me and says that, this is my response. If you were making an additional $250,000 a year doing what you're doing right now, would you still be burned out? Because if you're taking action, getting results, man, that burnout just fades away. What the real thing is you're not burned out. It's not like you're making hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars and you're burned out doing it. You're not getting the results that you want, which means we've got to take a hard look at what work are you doing? Are you being effective, meaning are you getting results? And are you stacking your day with those things that are getting you results, which makes you efficient? So what happens is this lack of action and fear of failure go hand in hand because we like feeling busy, but it's not always productive. We like feeling like we're getting something done, but see, that doesn't always happen. So what we have to do is we've got to identify what are the right things for our business. And that kind of segues into the third point, but I want to pause right there because I can see Gino, he loves this topic and he's chomping at the bit to jump in.
Well, I mean, look, because the bottom line is Don and I fail every day,
Mm-hmm.
every single day, right? And as the leader of a team, my job is to make decisions. And some of those decisions are great, and some of them are not so great. But the idea is that I have to make more great decisions than the bad decisions. And when it relates to opening businesses and trying to grow things and trying to be successful, I wrote down a couple things while you were talking there. Perfection is the enemy of getting things done. You know, if you plan and plan and plan and plan and plan forever, you're never going to get it done. Sometimes you just have to, and in John Maxwell's words, you just got to fail forward, right?
Right.
As long as you're taking a step forward, then that's what you need to do. And I always say, but when you're taking those steps, make sure you're not on a treadmill. You got to be moving.
That's
You got
right.
to be moving forward. And the reason I put presentations versus winging it is I can't tell you how many times I hear and I see with my seasoned loan officers like myself, like you, just winging it. Like really, because we're good enough to wing it most of the time, but that's not optimum.
That's right.
That's not peak performance. Peak performance is I practiced over and over and over again for this moment. And so we're seeing success now. This is a common thread I'm starting to see between loan officers that are successful today. This has to do something today with the millennial generation that's our top buyer right now. They are more comfortable in a presentation format. If you tell them, oh, you're a first-time home buyer, I have a presentation for that. I'd love to sit down with you for 40 minutes on Zoom. I'm going to go through my presentation. We're going to answer all your questions. You're going to make sure that by the end of this presentation, you don't have any questions left as it relates to home ownership. Does that sound good? They say yes. You go through the presentation, you do the Q&A, you do the FAQs, you do all the stuff. You've now set all the expectations the way you wanted to set them, because if you just answer their questions and you don't have a presentation ready and it's reactive, there's going to be gaps.
That's right.
And in those gaps is where you leave the opportunity for another professional to steal your deal.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So
100%. I love that because it also shows intentionality. It speaks to your ability as a subject matter expert. It speaks to your preparedness, and they feel differently because you're having a one-on-one conversation with them with that intentionality. They feel special. They feel like you're talking to them, not talking at them. This is a very important part of creating relationships. Tim Brahim told me years and years ago, no one reciprocates with takers. Are you constantly always asking for something from someone, or are you trying to offer something up? Because naturally, whenever we do something for someone, they want to reciprocate in some way. If you make an introduction for someone, they want to make an introduction for you. If you send someone a note or a gift or a text message to check on them, that's now a top of mind thing. This is about how we truly create relationships. And I know we talk about it over and over ad nauseum. What I mean by relationship is whenever they think of the mortgage business, do they think of you? If they don't think of you, you've not deepened that relationship enough to where you're at the top of that list. And it's not about just hanging out with people all the time. It can be. It's not about adding value to all the time. It can be. It's not always about just showing things in common, but it can be. This is the part that I think most people struggle with in learning on presentations like this or learning and coaching is we're expecting to have, here's the exact 5 things to do. Here's your 7 steps to success. And there's situations where that can be good, but most of the time, if it's not organic to us, our strengths and our business, we either don't get results and be like, well, that doesn't work, or we might get results, but it's not sustainable. So this is the work. How do you best build relationships with people? Think of your best friends. Think of your best referral partners and ask yourself, how did I meet them? How did I deepen relationships with them? Why are we so close? It's around the things we're talking about, adding value, finding things in common, spending time. But you've got to find that formula for you because it's not a one size fits all. It's not a linear thing.
yeah, I
You
gotta say
put,
that
go ahead.
I saw that, Mike Razak's on the call with us, and he had an absolute killer month, and he was featured on our call at PRMG this week. And he said, what you're seeing in April is just a result of 12 to 15 months of always being by my partner's side. Like he's with them at their open houses, he's with them at their brokers open, he's printing out papers for them, he's being with them. So spending time together is something you just said. That's something you do with your friends. And that's something you should be doing with your business partners. Calling
Right.
them once every 3 weeks and asking them if they have any deals for you is not the way to do it. Spend time with them,
Right.
go to coffee with them, show up at their office, hang out with them, help them and be with them. Listen, when they're sitting at an open house for 4 hours, bored out of their mind and want to shoot themselves, be with them while they're doing that. At least for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, stop by and show them that you care.
That's exactly right. So in this context of how to get unstuck, how to get unplateau, we talked about differentiation and branding. We talked about, taking more action, overcoming some of that fear of failure and some tactical things to do. The last part of this is the reason we get stuck is this inconsistent lead flow or no clear vision. And they kind of go hand in hand because what's the famous quote? If you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. So we've got to be very clear about what we're trying to do. 93% of people do not achieve the goals that they set for themselves on an annual basis. And the 2 reasons are, one, we're not clear enough about what it is we want. Oh, I want my business to grow. Okay, is that volume? Is that units? Is that team members? Is that income? What specifically do you want? Oh, I want to get healthy this year. Okay, is that body fat? Is that pounds? Is that inches? Does that look good naked? Whatever it is for you, you got to get specific. You got to be very clear. The second reason we don't achieve our goals is we don't want it bad enough. We set these goals that we think we're supposed to set, this arbitrary standard of what we think we should do or what someone else wants us to do, as opposed to something we want badly. Because when we want something badly, that's drive. It's not motivation. Motivation comes and goes. That's a feeling. But drive is doing the work even when you don't feel like it. So this is part of this. You need to think of that. What's that North Star? What's the ideal version of you? I share the quote a lot. There's a quote that's the definition of hell is meeting the person you might have become. I say heck with that. Let's find out who that person is, Let's reverse engineer that into some milestones and start setting goals right now to move in that direction. Once you have your goals, things you want really badly that are important to you, your family, your mental game, your physical game, your finances, your business. Once you've identified those things and you've got a starting point, we can now attach activities to it. And this is the, well, I want to do more work. I want to take more action. What do I do? This is how you start creating more action of all types. When you have your goal, you start creating activities, not goals, activities that are going to help you reach your goal. And those are daily habits and non-negotiables. See, daily habits are massively important. It's a cornerstone of what I coach on all the time, is helping people. You've got your calendar appointments, you've got your time blocks, you've got your daily habits. Now you can proactively attack the day as opposed to being reactionary, right? This is the mortgage business. Stuff happens, stuff comes up, and we go through the day and we're like, did we get anything done today? So you've got to have daily habits. You need to start it with a morning routine. I don't care what time you get up. I advise you to try to get up a little bit early so you have some time for yourself, but you've got to have a morning routine. I have about 16 daily habits that I try to achieve on a daily basis, and about half of them are done in my morning routine. And I want to get through this and tell you why just real quick. Whenever you start doing things in the morning, you start checking boxes and you start stacking wins. We've heard about and read the book Atomic Habits. It talks about stacking habits. When we check it off a list, we get a dopamine hit, some serotonin, some endorphins, and we check it off and we want to check off more. So when we start, they can even be things you're already doing. They could be a workout, taking some quiet time, saying some affirmations, reading a book, posting some content, going to the gym, whatever it is. When you start stacking those things and start stacking wins, you create momentum. See, our mind only distinguishes between wins and losses, but not how big they are. So we start stacking these little wins. Let's say we go into our first call or first appointment and we just completely bomb it. It just doesn't go well. Well, okay, that's a loss, but we went to the gym this morning. That's a win. They cancel each other out. We still have momentum, and that momentum creates more motivation. When you check stuff off a list, when you get things done, you want to do more. Right? We've walked through the garage on the weekend to fix something on a shelf, and 3 hours later, we clean the whole garage. Or we heat something up in the microwave, it boils over. We clean out the plate and then the microwave, and then we're cleaning the whole kitchen and touching up the paint on the walls, right? Momentum leads to more motivation. That's why I love Momentum Builder. That's what this is all about, is helping you create momentum. It creates more motivation. Here's the other thing it creates: confidence. See, confidence isn't a personality trait. Confidence is a skill that we learn. When you see people that are massively confident, that have that swagger, that just kind of own the room when they walk in, that confidence comes from doing these little things every single day, because they can lay their head on the pillow at night knowing that even if I didn't get the results I wanted today, it wasn't because I didn't do the work. These habits, these tactical things, they are the work. So that confidence allows you to want to go take more. So you stacking wins in the morning, getting your body right, getting your mind right, getting your emotions or spiritual life right, whatever that recipe is for you, it actually helps you execute in your business at a much higher level. Ed Milet says in sales, we need to stop getting people to believe what we're saying and make sure they believe we believe what we're saying. See, that's a confidence thing. That's a mindset thing. We've all been in these situations where someone's offering us a product or service, and you're like, yeah, that sounds really good. The numbers look good, but I don't know. Let me think about it. Versus, hey, I don't know what you said. I don't really understand it all, but that sounds great. I'm in. Let's go. See, these things help you execute at a higher level. So sometimes taking the big actions in your business are as simple as putting the things, a few things you're already doing and a few things you aspire to do, putting that in a morning routine, putting those things out there for you to intentionally do on a daily basis. That creates some momentum. It creates some motivation. It creates confidence. And all of a sudden you start tackling bigger and bigger things. You start reaching out to a client or a partner that you haven't done before. You start recording a video and posting content. You set up an additional campaign or automation in your CRM. You start doing all of these things that actually move the needle. Well, how do you get started? You make the decision. See, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is a decision. But Tony Robbins says we've not truly made a decision unless it creates a new action. So those are the things you have to do. It's not about just calling 50 people or 100 people a day. It's about understanding the process of how do I make sure that every phone call I'm showing up mentally, physically, emotionally, the way that I need to. And then if it doesn't go well, what could I have done better in learning? You've got to focus on the process of getting better, not just focusing on what the outcome is. And it all starts with making that decision. I'm going to do the work, finding your North Star. What do I want? What do I really want? Setting those initial goals and attaching some daily habits to it. And I would love to say it's more complicated than that, but it's not. It's just not. It's not easy all the time. It is hard. But like we said in the very beginning, nothing that's worth anything in life is ever going to be easy. You have to choose your hard. It's hard not to have any money, and it's hard to have to go out and prospect people and find more borrowers. Okay, if they're both going to be hard, pick one. Then there's no excuses. Then there's no being critical of yourself. You made the decision. And what I the last thing I'll say here is what we don't want to hear from people is that we are in life where we've chosen to be. It's not about our outside circumstances, not about the things that happen to us. We've made decisions that led us here. And if we don't like that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not about being punitive to ourselves. It's saying, okay, let's make some different decisions and go take action.
Yeah, Phil. I mean, you'll see earlier in the chat room, I put, do you fear failure or do you fear regret? And which one is worse? So, one of the things that drives me and makes me, what makes failure not even an infinitesimal little piece in my life is because I'm not afraid to fail. I'm afraid to have regret. I'm afraid regret is scary. I don't want to be on my deathbed and start thinking about the things I didn't do, right? Because ultimately, no one, you have two things to weigh out: the things you accomplished and the things you didn't accomplish. I fear the things I didn't accomplish more than being proud of the moments and the things that I did accomplish. And that's how I encounter failure. That's how I'm able to embrace failure and say, let's go. Because to get where I want to go, I have to go through these steps. And,
Right.
and to kind of mixed bag of tricks here, to go back to making a decision. Ultimately, when I chose to change my life, I chose to focus more time on me. Right. And so my morning routine, it sounds ridiculous, but my morning routine is 4 hours. Right. And that morning routine includes me sitting down at the breakfast table with my kids, saying hello to them, taking them to school if necessary, all things that I would regret if I wouldn't do. Right. And there are things I do regret that I didn't do when they were younger. So I still had a chance to fix that. So that's part of my morning routine now. And guess what? You're right. I execute at a much higher level now between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. because I'm not sitting here worried about the things that I didn't do. I went to the gym. I woke up early. I had a good breakfast. I spent time with my kids and my wife. I took one of the kids to school. I came back and now I'm ready to go.
That's right.
And so who would have thunk that spending 2 extra hours with myself and my family would have actually helped me execute better, but it absolutely did.
I'll tell you another story about a loan officer that worked for me years ago. She was an originator, but she also kind of handled some branch operations stuff, not true operations, but helping some of the other sales, kind of like a sales manager type position. And she had two small kids and a husband who worked. And from 6 in the morning when she woke up, she was working until 9, 10 o'clock at night and was just at her wits' end. And I had her walk me through kind of her day and her routine of all the things she was doing for other people, all the time she was working. And the question that I asked was, when in a given day do you take any time for you? I don't care if you're sleeping, if you're going to the gym, if you're going to get hair and nails done, go and have a cup of coffee with a friend, doesn't matter. When do you take time for you? And she laughed. She said, there is no time. And since she was an employee and not just a coaching client, I said, okay, in your kind of the morning situation, whenever your husband's gone, you've taken the kids where they need to go, what time is that? And I don't remember, it was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. I said, for the next 90 minutes, you don't work at all. You're going to go do something for you. Read a book, grab a cup of coffee, go to the gym, whatever those things are for 90 minutes, you cannot work. I don't want to see you on the computer. I don't want to see you on the phone. If you want to do some stuff in the morning before you get that, great. But you got to take a 90 minutes, hour minimum, but I'd love, 90 minutes or more. And she looked at me, she's like, there's no way I can do that because now I'm going to be working until midnight. But just what Gino said, the opposite happened. She took that time and re-energized. We can't give from an empty cup. We can't give from an empty plate. So what happens is we have to fill ourselves up so that we can give to other people. So taking that 90 minutes, which extended to 2 hours, she actually got the kids out a little bit earlier, took 7 to 9 for her, And from 9 to maybe 6 or 7, she got way more done than she was working 8 to 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And that's the power in this that I think we forget in these morning routines. Mine was about 3 hours. I woke up at about 4:30. I'd get to the office between 7:30 and 8. And man, I felt accomplished. And anything I did, I felt like I could take on the world because I got up, I went to the gym, I listened to a podcast, I said my affirmations, I took some quiet time, I ate something healthy, I spent time with people, read a book, whatever these things are that are going to be different for everyone. That's actually how we launch it. But see, we don't want to hear that. Like, no, 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 no. What's the right script for a realtor? What's the right tactical way to create a video? See, the best part is if you do this other stuff, when you go create videos, you'll figure out what that perfect thing is for you because you're going to do it with more confidence. You're going to do it with more enthusiasm and excitement. And at the end of the day, you get your mindset right first.
People want to be with successful people, and ultimately, if you feel great about who you are and where you are in life, you will attract a lot of great things.
That's
If you're
right.
unhappy and burnt out and tired, and when people ask you how you doing, they're like, living, just another day or shit like that. Like nobody wants to be around someone like that, man.
That's
How
right.
are you doing? I'm fucking killing it. I love life right now. Everything's wonderful. Right. And you don't have to not be truthful about it. Be like, there's some challenges in my life, but overall it's great.
Speaking like they're in the past. Hey, I've had some challenges in the past, but as of right now going forward, things are awesome. Right?
yeah.
Those are affirmations, speaking things that you want as if they're already true so that they can become true. So talk about those things in the past. As of this right second, they are all in the past.
Yeah, and Don
Right?
and I have been blessed enough to spend a lot of time with Todd Duncan, obviously now with the launching of Momentum Builder and Sales Mastery together as one thing. And the affirmations is I am, I am, I am, I am. Just say I am and put it behind it. And that's not fake it till you make it. Those are affirmations to tell you I am. I am the best mortgage advisor in my local area. Say that in the morning. You should believe that. If you don't believe that, how the hell is your client going to believe that?
Exactly right.
So
Exactly right.
Phil, we
I
could
have
go
it
on for hours, man, but we only got a couple of minutes left. Is there
for
anything you
sure.
have to drop uh right now? One last thing. You've already given us a million good nuggets.
I'm not going to give you a nugget. I'm going to give you a call to action. Not because for any other reason that's going to add value. We're doing a workshop. This is the fourth iteration of this that we've done this year. It's called the Breakthrough Blueprint, and it's essentially a 60-day program that's going to change everything. It's 8 one-hour sessions, and we go through everything from these foundational things of goal setting and habits and mindset to going into marketing and branding, sales tactics, and all these things go through workshops I've done like this in years past have been a couple of grand, and it's $297, and it's changed. I would give it away for free, but we want people to commit from the hip. We're intentionally keeping these at about 8 or 10 people, and this is the blueprint that you can create that's going to give you all of the things to what you can do for your business. It's going to create the plan of what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and as Gino said earlier, create that system. And so again, this is a $2,000 workshop. It's better than the ones we charged a couple grand for 297, $297. I'm gonna put the link in here in the show notes for you guys to check it out. I'm not hard selling it. It's just an offer if somebody wants it. But I will tell you that we're getting some massive success just from this little workshop for people. I've got people that have taken more applications in the 2 months that they did this than they did all of the prior year. And I will say the other thing that everyone needs to do, because Don and Gino and Todd are great friends of mine, you have got to be at Momentum Builder Sales Mastery or Sales Mastery powered by Momentum Builder, however the name's phrased. This event in October, you need to be there. I've got to spend a lot of time one-on-one with Todd. He's been a great friend and mentor. Don and Gino are first-class individuals. They're the best at what they do and put on phenomenal events. There's a ton of events and things that you can invest in, but I'm telling you right now, this is where you want to be. I will be there with bells on. I always am. And just love you guys. I appreciate you being here. And just let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Beautiful, man. Look, we're super excited about it. We're super excited about this event. We're throwing out what Sales Mastery was and what Momentum Builder was. We're smashing it all together and building something that is absolutely brand new and super powerful. And it's really exciting to bring all of us together. When I say all of us, I mean our entire community. Yourself, Kai last week, Arjun, all of our friends that have participated in building this community just to help others succeed. I mean, that's really what it's all about. And I listen to you, and one of the things that's super exciting to me is you're such a great student. Like you're just like Don and I. It's like quoting this book, quoting this book, quoting this speaker, quoting that speaker. Let's go. I mean, that's what
Bring it. Sorry, I had to jump on at the end. I listened to the whole thing and took notes. Frickin' Phil, you're
fill
awesome.
yourself with all this positive information, and you will succeed.
Well,
That's
why do
100%.
this on your own, right, Phil? How hard is it right now in the toughest? I've been in this almost 40 years. This is one of the toughest markets, I'll admit it. But why do this on your own when you can do it with others and share in success and meet others? And the best part of these events, as you know, Phil, is the camaraderie and the networking and meeting people that I promise you will change your life. Like they will
Exactly right.
become your long lost friends. I mean, Gio and I cannot wait to go meet hundreds of our friends at these events because we go to the events. And it's one of the best parts. And I promise you, Todd is on fire with the value propositions that we're offering and the speakers we're bringing. It will be by far, we're making sure it the best event of the year. Guarantee. And we'll give you your money back if for some reason you don't get true value, because that's how powerful it's going to be. So, but great
It's a
job, Phil. I
1000%.
just
I'll
wanted
I'll
to
jump.
jump on. Thank you.
No, and I want to piggyback on what Don said, guys, because almost all of the successes I've had in my business, especially the last 5 or 10 years, have been going to Momentum Builder, going to these events and talking to these people, talking to the speakers, meeting other people that are taking action. And that's one of the reasons I love these, Sales Mastery and Momentum Builder so much, is these people are approachable. Guys, at the end of the day, you've got to just go and talk to folks. No one who's quote ahead of you or at a quote higher level than you or you think they are, none of those people are critical. They want nothing but to help. The only people that are criticizing you are people that are behind you, mentally or tangibly in their business. So you got to go be around people and catch some of that for yourself. That's why I read a ton of books. That's why I listen to a ton of podcasts. All the information's out there. We just got to go find it and package it in the way that